Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to today's show. I have the honour and privilege of speaking with Luke Chant from Hotwire. Luke is the founder and creator, I imagine, of underfloor heating brand, which has taken the market by storm the last 20 years, I think, if I have my research correct. It could be longer, but I'm sure Luke will share a lot of that with us today. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Luke, as it traditionally has, we like to handball it straight over to the guests. I don't like chewing up the airspace with my voice too much, but
Sure.
why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us a lot about Hotwire and your business and your background?
Sure. So, Hotwire started nearly 20 years ago in Australia. It was actually founded by a couple other people, and I came on board after about 6 months,
Nice.
and then bought into the company, and then after some time bought the other two partners out. So it's been my business now for nearly 11 years.
Wow.
Where you sink or swim by yourself. Since that time, we've since the company started, really, we've had some really good long-term relationships, and the company's grown. The company has grown really nicely, and the product knowledge of the market has grown a lot too, which is great. When we first started the company, when you talked about underfloor heating, people thought you were from Mars. They had no idea what you were talking about. But thanks to things like The Block, which we've been a part of for a long time, and other TV shows, and just our general marketing, the sort of product awareness is a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, wow. So underfloor heating, right? I mean, I've worked with it a little bit in some previous roles that I've held in other companies. Tell me a little bit more about it. When you say that it might have been a bit of a foreign concept some time ago,
Yep.
how did it all happen in Australia for underfloor heating? What's the history?
Yeah, well, underfloor heating is interesting. It actually there's evidence back as far as Roman times of underfloor heating. They used to heat water and pump it under their floors in an ancient way of hydronic heating. That's it's another method of underfloor heating. So the concept goes back a really long time. Our business was started when one of my previous partners was trying to find an underfloor heating product that he was happy with. He wanted to do his own bathroom renovation, and he was looking for an underfloor heating product that he was happy with, and he just simply couldn't find anything in Australia. So his logic was, right, well, if I can't find it, then perhaps nobody can. And he found Hotwire in New Zealand.
Yep.
And they'd been established for a little while already in New Zealand, and he thought, well, if I couldn't find it, then perhaps other people can't. And so he made a relationship with Hotwire in New Zealand. And then, as I said, after a few months, I came on board and bought into the company, and that was nearly 20 years ago. So yeah, the market's certainly grown a lot, but it's, I guess, because Australia isn't as cold as somewhere like New Zealand or like Northern Europe, those sorts of places, we really are still catching up a lot with some of the more advanced ways of heating our homes and indeed insulating them too. We're just catching up on these methods that other countries have been using for a long time.
Yeah. Well, look, that's really interesting, because I've done a lot of travel around the world, and I know that in some countries, underfloor heating or heating systems isn't as common as they use gas or gas sort of heating in a lot of places. Is that sort of is underfloor heating a replacement of that, or do they work together in a market? Or
there's actually a lot of different ways of heating your floor. In Iceland, for example, there's so much thermal activity underground that all the underground water is hot. So
wow.
all they need to do in Iceland to heat their home is simply pump up the water from under the ground. So although they live in a really cold place, it actually doesn't cost hardly anything to heat their houses, because all they do is pump hot water through panels and through the slab. And so there's some useless trivia for you.
Yeah, I like it.
yeah. But there's lots of different ways to even with floor heating. There's lots of different ways to do it. You can do hydronic heating, which is
hydronic. That's a word I was looking for before.
Yeah, water pipes that are run through the slab, which is a good way of doing it. If you're doing a big area, there's some significant setup costs just to get going with hydronic heating. Yeah. And one of the advantages of our product is you can get going with it in only a tiny little 2 square meter ensuite, whereas it just doesn't justify itself with some other methods like hydronic heating, because you've got thousands of dollars in cost before you even start. So that's one of the advantages of how we do it. But there's as far as underfloor heating itself, been around for thousands of years, and there's a whole lot of different ways you can do it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Luke, tell me, you've been in the underfloor heating space for 20 years. Was there
Yeah.
a Luke before underfloor heating? What was he doing? Like, how did you get into this game?
Yeah, look, I actually had no trade background at all. My father's actually a minister and a teacher. Before previously a minister, he was a high school teacher. And didn't really have a very practical bone in his body. So there was no sort of old man to teach me how to use tools and to build things. And so I really got into a sales role. I was doing a variety of different sales roles and telecommunications and doing all sorts of different things. But always wanted to do something for myself. And then,
Nice.
one of my mates was involved in starting Hotwire, and I got chatting to him, and they were looking for someone to come in and do the sales and marketing of the business. And so I came in not really knowing anything about the building industry 20 years ago. So I had a really steep learning curve to understand how the building industry operated and how to talk to
Yeah.
tradies and how to operate in this sphere. I've always operated on the sort of jump in the deep end and swim like crazy kind of mentality. So we were actually pregnant with our fourth kid.
Oh, wow.
When I jumped into Hotwire, and my wife and I sat down and we said, well, the worst case scenario is it goes pear shaped, and we're back to where we are now, which
Yeah.
we can deal with that if that's the worst case. So we we kind of threw in the company car and this kind of cushy sales job and for this business that was 6 months old, and we didn't know if it would even exist in another 6 months.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a classic story of stepping completely outside of your comfort zone and just going for it, right? Going for broke. I mean, it's to coin the phrase, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
One
But
of my major things in business is bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell.
yeah,
And so that's how I've often gone about things, and certainly how we did when we started with Hotwire as well.
yeah, wow, very cool. Thanks for sharing. So I imagine today Hotwire is sort of one of the leaders in the market from what I've seen. Certainly you're partner with some of the bigger players in the industry. And you mentioned the block before, which is great. Excellent show. We were talking about that pre-recording. And so how do you guys compare against, a market that's probably full of underfloor heating and different types of systems now? What differentiates your product from others?
Yeah, look, there's certainly a lot of underfloor heating companies in the market nowadays. You can jump on Google and search and see some pretty interesting products that people are just drop shipping from overseas suppliers.
Yeah,
we've been working with the same suppliers for a really long time, and there's a lot of when you're dealing with a product that's buried under your tiles, you've got to make sure you get it right. There's a lot of companies out there that are offering products you've got no idea the longevity of, no idea if it's actually going to last under your tiles for any period of time. So we've got some really big name companies that back Hotwire. One of our first customers that we ever won was actually Beaumont Tiles.
Oh, cool.
And we knew Bob Beaumont personally, sort of outside work, and so we approached Bob with this product. And our entire inventory was in like a tiny little garden shed. We were the tiniest company. And Bob said, yeah, this is great. We should put this through all our stores across Australia. And so
nice.
we went, sure, we can do that. And then left the meeting, like I said before, bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell. We left the meeting and we're like, well, how the hell are we going to do that? But we made it work, and it's a long way to answer your question, but Beaumonts have now been a customer for nearly 20 years. So if we didn't have a great product and we didn't have something that could be relied on, companies like that are just not going to keep dealing with you.
Absolutely.
And since then, we're the only supplier of floor heating systems to Bunnings. We're the only product that they sell, and a lot of other places like that too. Recently been added to Mitre 10 Group as well, and a variety of other some of Australia's biggest builders use Hotwire, and so there's a whole variety of products or different brand names and builders that use us, which is a long way to answer your question and say, well, those companies just wouldn't deal with a product like ours if it wasn't good and we couldn't back it up. So there's not a whole lot of really different ways you can do underfloor heating. There's there's the in-slab style. We talked about hydronic heating a little bit before, but the actual technology of putting a heated element under your tiles is there's kind of not a whole lot of different ways to do that. So
Yeah.
if you're choosing someone, or you want to be relying on someone who's got good backup and support and some good brand names behind them, I think is what you're really looking for.
Yeah, fantastic. So your product, your specific product, I should say, it works in well with today's modern tiling contractor, and I imagine it has done for the last 20 years. Is it tilers that are typically putting in or installing the Hotwire system?
Yeah, look, to the letter of the law, legally, you need to be an electrician to install floor heating.
Okay.
What happens a lot of the time, I would estimate that probably only 50% of the products that we sell are installed by electricians. But the product goes out the door. A tiler, a handyman, anybody sort of puts it in, and then the electrician connects it is what often happens. Which, as I said, legally it does need to be installed by an electrician, but I know that that's the way it's done in the market a lot of times. So, it can be done. Well, it is done like that. As I said, legally it shouldn't be, but it often is.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Did I
answer the last question or not? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it does. Look, I think, I'm sort of thinking about that myself now for a minute. Definitely. Look, I've had a variety of different guests on in the past, and we've talked about different building products. So I had Tim Dawson on from Luxus Grates earlier on last year, and we were talking about the installation of grate systems. And I think it's a very similar thing there, where in an ideal world, grate installation should happen by a qualified plumber. But we know that the way the market works and the installation process and the flow of process, very rarely are you going to be able to get a plumber back after they've done their work. It's I suppose cost prohibitive, because they're just going to have to charge to come back to site a second time to install a grate, which can very easily just be popped in by a professional tiling contractor. So, and hence the reason for the question, right? Because it's always excellent to understand the process around the installation of it. I've had a little bit of hands-on experience with a previous company that I've dealt with, and I know that the promotion around that particular product was educating tiling contractors to install the product. But I mean, I know that there was always a component of that installation that had to be handled by an electrician, because it was obviously wired in. So, but if it was just putting the product down, that was okay. But it was the electrical component was given to the Sparky to take care of.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, whilst tilers really shouldn't install floor heating, they often do. But the big thing for me is that what we often find is a consumer will go back to a retail outlet where they've purchased Hotwire, and they'll go in and they'll say, "Oh, the tiler said I can't use it with this tile or this glue or something," and try and return it. And there's a lot of, I guess, just misunderstanding still, even though we've been around for 20 years about underfloor heating in the market. And there's a lot of tilers just simply not understanding that it doesn't have any negative implications on their job. It's certainly not going to affect their tiles or their glues or their grouts or their waterproofing or anything like that. So
no,
we work pretty closely with Ardex. We're the preferred supplier, preferred floor heating company for Ardex and also for RLA.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, they sort of back Hotwire in and go, yeah, we're happy with this product. So as a tiler out there, you can be confident that putting underfloor heating in is not going to affect anything that's happening on your job. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, nice, excellent. Yeah. Good reassurance, mate. Great reassurance. Thank you.
What I like to tell, look, there's a lot of questions. What I tell people is, if you've got a big bay window in your lounge room on a 40-degree summer's day, that floor is actually going to get hotter than underfloor heating's even capable of making.
Yeah.
So if you can put tiles and glues and grouts in next to a bay window and expect it to be all right on a summer's day, then it's perfectly okay with underfloor heating.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that. Excellent. Well, Luke, love to get in and deep dive into a few more questions. Sure. Okay. I'm very interested. I ask this question a lot of many of the guests that jump on board, but I do get very interested in what gets people excited every day about what they do. Tell us a little bit about that with you.
Yeah, well, I'm a very competitive person. I've played a couple of different sports at a decent level, and I just love the challenge of growing a business. Every day, it's how can we do that? How can we grow the business more? But I really believe that the product we're selling offers a great product to help you build a really lovely home. So our motto too is we help people build homes they love to live in. So yeah, in sales and marketing, that people talk about the elevator pitch, right? How if you get into a lift with someone, how can you explain what you do and the time it takes to get to the next floor?
Yeah.
And so I talk, and my response to people is we help people build homes that they love to live in.
Yeah, nice.
And we really do. It's just a lovely touch of luxury that is much more affordable than people think it is, and it's just a really great product to have in your home. So we're really I'm just genuinely excited about helping people build homes that are great. It just offers a real touch of luxury that most people don't realize they can afford, and it really is just a lovely thing to have in your home.
Yeah. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
I like it. It's poetically put, and yeah, I agree with that 100%. You have to love what you do and get excited about it. Get excited about the components of what you do. I'm very much, for me, very similar. I when I started this podcast, it was very much about a love for the industry and what I've been involved in since early 2000s. So yeah, excellent, man. Yeah, great.
Look, my son works in the business. He heads up the installation side of things, and when we started this business, so he's 25, and we started it. He was like 6 years old, 7 years old. Wow. So his entire life has been this company, and I was actually talking to him about it the other day, and he said he feels like in some ways he has a greater emotional attachment to the business than I do, because it's been everything for him. He doesn't remember anything pre-Hotwire, like as I said, he's 6 years old. So it's great to be able to have him working the business, and he's just one of a large team that we've got now. But he runs the installation side, and it's just great to have that sort of business that you can work with your family and have them on board like that. It's great. I love it.
Excellent. That's great. Luke, I always like there's many questions I love asking in these episodes. This one is probably one of my favorites because I'm a big fan of learning from mistakes. Right, made plenty of them in my life, and love just hearing from other people about what are some of the biggest mistakes that they've made in their career that has helped them and shaped who they are today.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Look, I've shared this publicly in different forums. As I talked before about a presentation I did at a conference before we started, and I guess for me, my two previous business partners, and I've shared this, so it's not sort of not okay to share, not sort of a secret or anything, but they actually decided that they wanted to move me on from the business after I'd been involved for about a decade or so, and that it wasn't working. And there was that they were very honourable and upright in how they went about it. It was just a decision. They didn't think we were working as a team, and they decided the best solution for that was for them to continue with the business without me in it. Which I obviously didn't agree with, but again, they were very honourable and upright in the way they went about it. So I don't, think ill of them because of that. No. It was just a business decision. But through that period of time, as you can imagine, that was quite difficult. I'd given a fair chunk of my life to it at that point in time, and I didn't handle that well on a personal level. I'm a fairly confident person generally, but in that time, I really just didn't back myself in to get through that. My wife and I were renovating a home at the time, and we were sort of halfway through renovating. We were about to really be pretty close to the edge when my previous partners had agreed to pay me for a period of time, and during that time I was looking for other opportunities, other businesses, other employment, and just nothing was happening for me. And I really I guess I dropped my bundle a bit, and that certainly didn't help my wife, and it didn't help my family, and I didn't cope with that period of time very well. And I wish I'd just been more confident to back myself in and go, you can, there'll be a solution here. You don't need to sort of fall in a hole. And I, for a period of time there, I wasn't sort of in the best space, but we did find a way out. And in the end, my partners decided they actually didn't want the business and decided to sell it to me instead. And so I bought them out. But that was a really difficult period of time. And I didn't cope super well with that. So I wish I'd just sort of been a lot more confident about who I was and my abilities to pull our family through that circumstance. That would have made it a fair bit easier.
Yeah, mate, sounds tough. I mean,
it wasn't a lot of fun.
No, it's usually those really tough moments in life that help guide us through to the other side. And thanks for sharing. It's I'm glad that you are where you are today, and that you've made such a successful business out of something that potentially at the time was a very hard thing to deal with. So
yeah, it was certainly challenging. And I've had a couple of things like that in my life where we've I had a couple of businesses before Hotwire, and a couple of times that you perhaps think I might have learned more from my mistakes, but we've done well since then, and the business is going from strength to strength now.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done, man. That's great.
Nice.
So, Luke, the industry that you and I work in is very closely related. Obviously, we're in tiling, and my day job is very much around that. And the history that I've had in the industry has been very much around that tiling and stone space and power tools and adhesives and everything. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, and talked about that in the past episodes. The last few years have been a bit of a roller coaster ride, to say the least. It has been, some pretty rocky terrain that we've had to navigate through since sort of late 2019, early 2020. Do you think there's particular things in the industry that we can improve in? And if they are, and I'm sure there is a few, of course, that I know of, but from your perspective, where do you think we need to improve? Like what's missing that we need to fix?
It was interesting having not grown up as a tradie, if you like, and not having exposure to the building industry in general till I was nearly 30 years old. And I came into the industry having worked in a bunch of other environments and other places. And the thing that struck me the most about the building industry was and it's still the same today. I had the same thing on a job just early this week, late last week, where the people on a building site just have such disregard for each other and the different trades. And it was something that just struck me, that just nobody cared for each other's work. Nobody looked out for each other. We had the job we had last week was an underfloor heating system installed on the floor, and the tiler was booked to come in that day, but he actually didn't. And some other trades just walked in and walked all over the underfloor heating on the floor and ripped it up. Mate, surely you just show some common courtesy, and I think and you see that with all sorts of different trades, just not caring for each other's work, not looking out for each other on a building site. And it's something that right from the start has gone, well, why? You're all part of the team trying to build the house. Why do we just not show a bit more common care for each other and look out? So, we've always tried to, with my team, with our installers, it's something I really like to focus on with them, to make sure that we leave the site as well as we can for the next trade, and always focusing on our relationship, is particularly with electricians and tilers, and to make sure that the job is well set up and it's perfectly placed for a tiler to come in and just start tiling. And it's I just don't understand why. I know everyone's in a hurry and everyone's got to get and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't make sense to me why you can't sort of look out for each other. And I guess the other thing that really sticks out for you at a very personal level with underfloor heating is, as I said previously, the tilers, and I'm not having a go at tilers, but it's just the tilers that this has happened with, where they've taken an underfloor heating system back to the retailer and said, "Oh, this won't work." Yeah. Well, all they needed to do was just educate themselves a little bit, maybe ring the tile and glue company and say, "Hey, does this work?" And the customer could have had the experience they actually wanted, but the tiler was more focused on the fact that perhaps they just didn't want to do the job with underfloor heating. Because they added maybe a little bit of complexity, they didn't want to do it. But then the consumer ended up not getting the house they wanted. They wanted underfloor heating in this bathroom, and they couldn't, because it was a little bit hard for the tiler.
Yeah,
they didn't get it. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I know you're trying to make a dollar, but you're also trying to do the best thing for your customer. So again, let's just look out for each other. Why are we making it challenging and difficult and throwing obstacles up? Let's just look out for each other and help, and then help the consumer get the product they actually want.
It's a very common story, that one of a consumer not getting what they want. And look, I understand that every job on its merits has a different everything's different, right? For every particular customer is different. When I was working in retail in the earlier days, we used to have very similar challenges where we would sell like a particular range of tiles for a customer, and they would take them home and they would have them there, and then they would call a contractor and then get a quote out for the work. And probably, I would say back in those days, I would get one out of probably 4 or 1 out of 5 customers that would contact us and go, "We need to return the tiles because the tiler said that they won't fit in the area that we've bought them for."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we know this can work, but it's either a lack of education or a lack of maybe not wanting to do the job that puts a real a wedge into what the consumer's striving to achieve, because you've done all the work to tell them, hey, look, these tiles are great and they'll work really well in that space, and then they get really disappointed because they can't have what they wanted. And in a market today where we fast forward 20 years from when I first started, where getting a tradesperson is pretty much impossible these days.
Sure.
So it's a familiar story, and hopefully one that will change in the future. Perhaps if we keep talking about it in these types of forums and podcasts, and as a community, we can help change that narrative.
Yeah, one of those. And look, I get in some circumstances it's just simply lack of knowledge. So I actually approached Ardex. As I said, I worked fairly closely with Ardex, and I approached them actually just only a few weeks ago about because they have most tilers, I'm sure, will be aware of the Ardex Academy, where they have different training programs for different products that they use. And they're going to be including underfloor heating in that going forward. So there'll be a couple of times a year where they'll offer not necessarily training on how to install the underfloor heating, because as I said, that should be done by an electrician, but training on how to manage a job that's got underfloor heating on it. So we'll do how to tile over it, how to use a self leveler if you want to, if there's a mesh involved, how you're going to do that. And so we're going to have that as part of the training program at Ardex,
cool.
And that's going to be rolling out so that hopefully some of those tilers who might have asked a consumer to return a product because they didn't know about it, once they've attended those training sessions, then we can help solve that, which is obviously great for us. We're selling more product, but as I said before, at the end of the day, the consumer actually gets the job they wanted, and the finished product that they're after.
Yeah, nice, awesome. Thanks, Luke. That's great.
Nice.
Luke, the next set of few questions, there may be a little bit of repeat here, but I know that we've talked a lot today, and but I never miss the opportunity to get them to fit as many in as I can.
Sure.
How do you get the best out of every day? What's the one thing that you do that helps you get everything accomplished?
I've got a variety of different systems that I use. I'm fairly techie with that sort of stuff. So I've just got some really strong systems in place for handling every procedure in the business on a day-to-day. So everybody knows, and we've got basically every procedure in our business has we have a platform called Google Sites, which is just kind of like an internal website, and every procedure in the business has a screenshot video recording of how to do that embedded in that. So anything you want to do, if you need to know how to process an invoice or answer a customer service question or whatever it is, there's a video there showing you exactly how to do it in the software that we use.
Nice.
So that just makes it really simple to make sure that everyone knows how to get things done, so that I don't spend my time repeatedly showing staff how to do things, what they need to do in the business. So that really helps us just not be repeating things and to get the most out of every day. I'm trying to get better at that all the time. I'm working on some if in business like mine, you get lots and lots of emails every day, and I'm working on basically triaging emails in a better way. So I have a lot of folders set up where things just happen automatically and go into them. And then my assistant has access to my inbox as well, and so she takes care of a lot of things before they even come to my attention, that don't need to be brought to my attention. That she takes care of as well. But for any business owners out there, systemizing your business and making sure that everything has a system. My basic plan is if I can see myself having to do this more than one more time, then create a system so someone else can do it.
Yeah, nice.
And I've got some screen recording software. The simplest one is a product called Loom, which is LOOM for anyone out there.
Cool.
And you can just screen record what you do and actually send someone a link to it. So if I've got I'll even answer customer service questions on it. So if I've got to answer a question for a customer and the question is longer than 3 paragraphs in an email, then I'll do a Loom video instead. And I can answer the question to them. So just like we're doing now, say, g'day, Mark, here's the answer to your question about underfloor heating. You do it this way, you do it this way, you do it that way. I thought this video would be a nice, quick and easy way to do it. Record it with Loom, and then I send you a link. And I've recorded it much quicker than it takes me to type it. It's a great, people will love that as a customer service feature as well. So, and you can do it on your phone. So it's like recording a video message on Facebook Messenger, for example, but you can record it and just send it on email to anybody. So great little app, and it's free for short videos. So LOOM, that'll give you a lot more time in your day.
Yeah, mate, excellent suggestion. I'll 100% be putting that in the show notes and my own notes for me to use in the future. So that's great.
I'll show you afterwards, Mark. But it's just I use it nearly every day, and it'll save you stacks of time, and people feel, and you're offering a great level of customer service, but people also feel like they're being offered a great level of customer service. So that's great.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks, mate.
All right.
We all deal with different challenges in life. One of them can be demanding customers, as we know. They exist.
Sure.
Mate, what's your tricks of the trade for handling demanding or a difficult customer?
Yeah, tough ones. Where I'm pretty lucky in our business in that we don't sort of have I haven't had too many horror shows. But I think you just got to understand where people are at, and at the end of the day, let's say an underfloor heating thermostat retails for $300. So let's say someone's got a problem with their thermostat. They obviously don't cost me $300, but that's what they retail at. If someone's got a problem and they're unhappy with the thermostat, then oftentimes I'll just send them a new one, rather than have the ongoing angst of that problem. Sometimes it's easier just to give the customer, you're resolving the problem, you keep your brand reputation in place, you've got the customer happy, and for what is not a huge amount of cost at the end of the day. So I'm not talking about just giving things away to keep customers happy, but I think if you just take some time to try and understand where customers are coming from, like I said before, they wanted to build this dream home that they've set about building, and if they're unhappy, it's probably because they didn't quite get what they wanted. So trying to understand exactly where they're coming from and help reach a good solution.
Yeah.
My warranty situation states that all I have to do, and legally all I have to do, is if underfloor heating is not working, all I have to do is refund their purchase price.
Yeah.
Now, if I send someone out to fix that, which we always do, it's actually costing me twice as much as refunding their purchase price to do that. But we'll always do that. I've never said, stuff you, here's your money back. I think we just need to look after people and be nice to them. And I think soon you won't have your problematic customers.
Yeah, mate. Look, it's a very generous way of looking at situations, particularly with customers. I mean, 100%, I completely agree with you. I mean, putting ourselves in the shoes of the consumer or client or customer and understanding their perspective is really important. And it's those small gestures that can add tremendous value to your brand and to the business, and simultaneously, you're helping people just get what they wanted. We all understand that sometimes things break and they break accidentally. I don't think anybody ever purposefully goes out to destroy things. So yeah, that's an excellent way of handling it.
We've got more Google reviews than any other floor heating company in the country.
So cool.
I check every now and then, and we've got more than anyone else. And a lot of our Google reviews are actually how well we resolved a problem.
Wow.
So they're saying, yes, we had a problem, but Hotwire were great. They fixed it straight away.
Yeah.
And every tiler, every company that sells a product, you're going to have problems. There are going to be issues. that's just going to happen. And how you resolve that reflects on you as a person, and first and foremost, but then it reflects on your brand and your reputation as well. And in my case, we're trying to grow a brand, and that reflects on it. So we've got 99 or 100. I think there was a couple of people actually deleted their reviews, which was weird. But there was 99 or 100, and only one of those is actually a negative review. The rest are all at least 4, and I think 97 of them are 5 stars.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
I said a lot of those are from the way we resolved a problem. They had a problem, but we fixed it straight away.
Yeah, excellent. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, rather than talk about the next question that I was going to ask, I want to ask this question.
Okay.
What does the future of Hotwire look like? What are there some new technical innovations coming out, or have you got some new products you can give us a bit of a sneak peek at?
So we've actually just taken delivery of our latest thermostat, which the thermostat is obviously what drives the underfloor heating. And we've just taken delivery of our latest model, which is great. So it's typically what you've had to do with a thermostat is that normally that they come as a orientated vertically or horizontally.
Yep.
And you've got to order something different if that's what you want. Our new thermostat can be programmed through the menu to be horizontal or vertical. So it won't, not like your mobile phone where it'd turn automatically, but you can do it through the menu quite easily. And tell it to be either way. And that same thermostat is also Wi-Fi capable, so you can control that from an app. We've had a Wi-Fi thermostat for a little while, but it had a sort of a smaller screen. This is a full screen thermostat, and as I said, removing that issue of tilers cutting the tiles to be what the profile of the light switches and power points are, and then potentially that not matching the thermostat. So we've overcome that issue, which has been one that's been around for a little while. And it's a small little problem that happens from time to time that we've solved it with this new thermostat, and that's going to be our standard model moving forward. Is the model that can be spun horizontally or vertically.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty great. And for those that are in everywhere but Victoria, because in Victoria, as the listeners may be aware, we've got different rules here on creating bathroom floors. We don't have to have floors in Victoria, so there's nowhere near as much sand and cement screed done in Victoria. But for the rest of the country, where floor heating in bathrooms is often done under the screed or sometimes on top as well. We've got a new product going in the screed, which is an in-screed heating mat, which makes it really easy to install. It's just like kind of standing in the corner of a room and kicking it and rolling it out across the floor, and it covers the whole floor really quickly and easily. So we've always had the under tile heating mats, but we just added the in-screed mats as well, and that just makes installation in those sorts of situations a breeze.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Launching soon, I imagine, 2023.
The heating mats are in stock, so they're available now. The thermostat, we're just running down the last of our existing stock, which will only take another couple of weeks, and then the new model will be our default inclusion.
Nice.
Yeah,
excellent.
So,
mate, thanks for sharing. That's great.
I've been working on that one for a while, so that's good.
Yeah, we'll definitely put a plenty of information in the show notes when we launch. So thank you for that. If you have anything, just flick it to me in an email, and we'll get that included.
Sure, be great.
Luke, we always like to try and wrap up the episodes with some fast track questions, because I really love to learn more about the guests when they come on, and so does a broader community, which is growing rapidly at the moment, which is great. I've really started to see a spike in listeners and downloads and subscribers. So it's really good that the messaging is getting out there, and we've got some amazing guests after you as well. You being an amazing guest, but more amazing guests. So it's really excellent. I'm just going to fire them at you, and give us some information about you, and yeah. So I suppose the first one I like to ask occasionally of people is, if you could choose anywhere in the world to live, where would that be?
Where would it be? Well, I'm from Adelaide originally, and I've lived in Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney. So I do quite like Adelaide. But we're about to take a trip to Europe we're supposed to be our 25th wedding anniversary trip, but that was 2020, and of course that got canned. So we're going this year. But I really love to mountain bike, so I'm looking forward to doing it. To hopefully taking a few bike rides through I know places like Holland where we're riding, and in Denmark we're starting our trip in Copenhagen. So I reckon I end up somewhere like that where there's just lots of bike riding. That's my happy place.
Bike riding and ice cream. Copenhagen. That's all I can think about.
Sounds good. You can eat the ice cream
Excellent.
because you've done all the bike riding. See?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The throughout your career, have you surrounded yourself with? I imagine you've surrounded yourself with very like-minded people. Do you have a mentor or a coach or anything that you use? And if so, how have they helped you? Develop your business and mindset around what you do.
Yeah, so I joined a program 7 or 8 years ago now called Business Blueprint, which is basically just business owners from all over Australia of all walks of life. And the program is designed around just to help you to run your business better.
Yeah, nice.
And I went to one of their free information sessions, and Dale Beaumont, who runs Business Blueprint, he said something right at the start of the day. He said, if you knew how to take your business to the next level, you would have already done it. I went, yep, fair enough. Sign me up. So
nice.
I joined this program with all these other business owners. We have a few conferences a year where we all get together and have speakers on all sorts of different topics about running your business better. But as a part of that, we set up these accountability teams, and the conferences are roughly every 90 days. And I have 3 other business owners who I meet with twice a month, and we have a spreadsheet that we all share with each other on what we're working on those 90 days. And if we haven't made enough progress on it by the next meeting, I know they're going to say to me, well, what are you doing? You said you're going to do this. You've put it on the spreadsheet. why haven't you done it? And they're not in any related industries to me. One's industry, he does barcoding for products, another builds furniture, and others in fire safety. So they're not related at all, but we're all business owners striving to be the best that we can. And so we have this accountability structure in place. So I'd certainly encourage people to do something like that. And there are plenty of business groups around you can join that would offer that sort of thing. But yeah, none of my friends own businesses. And for any business owners out there, whether you're a one-person tiling business through to a much bigger company, it's a different mindset, and there are a lot of challenges in running your own business. And I think it's really important to have that network of people to help you out. So yeah, this program has been essential for me, and these guys are really my support network. And if I've ever got a problem, I know I can reach out to them, and they'll help me out.
Excellent, mate. Well done. That's great. What does the next 5 years look like for Luke Chant? What's going on?
Yeah, it's actually really exciting. The business has got to the point now where I'm not needed on a day-to-day basis. So what I mean is that nothing on my table has to happen sort of for day-to-day of the business. And for most times, as long as I've had the business, has been parts of it that I'm doing. But now I can really focus on growing the business. It's grown to the point that I've got enough staff to do all the day-to-day things, and really focus on growing the business. So we're really looking forward to some new big things. We've just got a couple of some of the volume builders that have started to use us. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to roll out. So yeah, some bigger and better things, and lots of travel with my wife. We started the business when we were quite young. As I said, we sort of got in at 30, and previous to that, we tried a couple other businesses. So we didn't have that sort of period before you have kids, where a lot of couples do, when they can travel and do things. And so we're really looking forward to doing that now. We've got, I said, a month in Europe. We're leaving in only a few weeks, and got a month through Europe. So we're really looking forward to spending a bit more time traveling. All our kids are adults now and grown up, so we can just wave goodbye and leave them and sail off into the sunset. So
I'm very jealous, mate. I went on a trip earlier this year, but 4 weeks in Europe sounds delightful.
Yes, we're really looking forward to it. It's been long put off. We were talking about it for a decade or so, and then it got put off a few more years by COVID. So we've been it's our 25th wedding anniversary trip that is now our 28.5-year wedding anniversary trip.
Oh, good on you, man! Congratulations. That's awesome to hear. 28.5 years. That's like, I know the delay on the trip's terrible, but
we did get married quite young. It's worthwhile pointing out we were 20 and 19 when we got married. So I was married nearly 30 years. I'm not yet 50. So we got married really young.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for sharing. That's great. Luke, mate, you've been amazing today. You and I have crossed paths in the past a number of times, but never this intense before, in terms of having a chat with each other and really just, mate, I really appreciate you sharing your story and the other information today. It's great. I'm sure the broader community will love hearing this episode. So again, thank you for being involved. I would like to just ask before we wrap things up today, if the audience wants to reach out to you and or Hotwire, mate, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way to reach me directly is probably on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm not sure there are many other Luke Chants on there, so I'm pretty easy to find. But otherwise, just through our office, our website's pretty easy to find. hotwireheating.com.au.
Beautiful.
Yeah, to check out a few different articles I've written that are on the LinkedIn profile, as well as we were talking about earlier, Mark. I wrote an article called 10 Steps to Business Success by a Moderately Successful Business Owner, which is on my LinkedIn profile. You can check that out. There's another one I wrote called I call it five things I learned from being attacked by a kangaroo. So you can read that as well.
Nice. Mate, they're both titles of articles that I would absolutely read, so you've mastered the art of writing the perfect headline. Because I follow a guy on LinkedIn called Tim Denning, and he does a lot about, he lives in Melbourne, and he talks a lot about writing really catchy headlines on your articles. And of course the articles would normally back it up anyway, but it's actually getting people to just press that first click and then read the article. So great. Good on you.
Well, the kangaroo was fun. I got attacked by a kangaroo out mountain biking, and I thought about it afterwards and wrote an article with some business tips I learnt from the very angry kangaroo.
That's awesome. Fantastic, mate. Well, we'll get all that information into the show notes after today. Again, thank you for being on the program and making the time to chat with me and chat with the audience. And we can't wait to launch this and get it out there to the big bad world.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Luke. Until next time, mate. Stay connected.
No worries. Cheers.